for the public comment will be explained by the city attorney shortly. Procedures for the swearing in and parties for the planning and zoning and/or quasi-judicial items will be explained by the city clerk. The members of the City Commission appearing for this meeting are Alex Diaz de la Portilla, Joe Carollo, Manolo Reyes, Jeffrey Watson, and me, Ken Russell, your vice chair. Also appearing are City Manager Art Noriega, City Attorney Victoria Mendez, and City Clerk Todd Hanning. The meeting will be opened by Commissioner Reyes with a prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Thank you, Lord, for our health and the opportunity to serve your people. We pray you give us the wisdom to make the right decision and help those that need it the most. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam City Attorney, please state the procedures to be followed during this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of the City Code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreements to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to Section 2-8 of the City Code. Any documents offered to the City Commissioners that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. If any Commissioner thinks that documents supplied to the City Commissioners fewer than 7 days before merit a continuance, the item may be continued by the City Commission. Pursuant to Section 2-33, subsection F and subsection G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 2 minutes at any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the chair. Members of the public may call 305-250-5454 to speak directly with the City Commission on agenda items to be heard at this meeting. Public comment will begin at approximately 9 a.m. and remain open until public comment is closed by the chairperson. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting the written comments via the online comment form. Please visit miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. Comments submitted through the comment form have been distributed to the elected officials and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials up until the time the chairperson closes public comment period. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this meeting and will be considered by the City Commission prior to taking any action. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall located at 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all COVID-19 rules, regulations, and procedures. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any persons exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by all state, county, and local emergency orders and urged to practice social distancing. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. Section 286.0114, subsection 4, subsection C of Florida statutes authorizes the city to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of a desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The city, through its multiple comment options, has provided different methods to indicate, among other things, the public's support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting. The public has also been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney on the items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the City Commission for any matter considered this meeting may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or viewed online at miamigov.com. Planning and zoning items will proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 Zoning Code, as temporarily modified pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Numbers 13903 and 13914. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903 and 13914, parties for any PZ items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making bodies a qualified intervener, as well as the applicant's representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the City Clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person at their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, members of the public who are not parties to an action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications to remove the presumption of prejudice pursuant to Florida Statute, Section 286.015 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 Zoning Code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. For applications requiring City Commission approval, the applicant will present its application and request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 in the City Code, providing that the appellant shall present first. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV and MiamiGov.com/TV, the city's Facebook page, the city's Periscope channel, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will have closed captioning.
Mr. Clerk, good morning.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, because
You're not done.
Commissioner Watson is appearing virtually, there's an additional comment.
Yes.
Pursuant to Advisory Legal Opinion AGO 2020-03 issued on March 19, 2020, the Florida Attorney General opined that, consistent with prior Attorney General opinions, a member of the local government body who is physically unable to attend a meeting because of medical treatment or due to medical reasons could participate and vote in meetings where a quorum of the other members were physically present. Due to the continued declared state of emergency for the state of Florida and the declared state of local emergency for the city of Miami related to COVID-19, and consistent with the Attorney General Opinion 2020-03, the City Commission finds that the members of the Miami City Commission may use communications media technology to participate in and vote on items during meetings when a quorum of the Miami City Commission is physically present and the remote presence of the City Commissioner is medically necessary. Mr. Chairman, please confirm that the
Mr. Min, one question, please. So, and good morning, Commissioner Watson. I hope you're feeling better and better. My question is to clarify. Mr. Watson can vote virtually, but he does not count toward quorum for the day. Is that correct?
Correct. A quorum has to be physically present.
Understood. Thank you very much. Good morning, Commissioner. You all right? You're on mute.
Good morning, Commissioner.
How you feeling?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Well, I feel like I should not have come up in there and infected everybody. And so, from that perspective, I'm hanging in there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that you are out of bed and taking care of business. I know you've got a lot of things on the agenda, so we'll be looking to you at the order of the day of how you'd like to handle the items that affect your district, and then we'll go from there. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. I appreciate it.
You bet.
You take care of yourself, okay?
Good morning, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals who will be providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the city clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and/or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you are sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who will provide testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the City Clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning items and/or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you will be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair, if I may, I'd like to proceed with administering the oath for the planning and
Yes,
zoning
please.
items.
Thank you, Todd.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla. I understand you have a very special guest with us today.
We have a number of special guests, but the most special guest we have is Ana Lázara Rodriguez. Ana Lázara Rodriguez is a former political prisoner in Castro's jails.
She served 19 years. She first opposed for the Fulgencio Batista government. Then she opposed the Fidel Castro government. She was given, as happens in Cuba, a sham trial where she was humiliated, beaten, abused, served 19 years in prison. And now she's here to be honored by this city commission, by our mayor. We're going to step down, every commissioner, please, to step down and honor this Cuban patriot. This is the day after we celebrated yesterday, not celebrated, I'm sorry, commemorated the 25th anniversary of the downing of the Brothers to the Rescue pilots. And to me, it's very, very important that we keep this battle alive, the faith always there. Important to recognize people who have fought for the freedom of our country and continue to fight every day for the freedom of our country. So we have some special guests, Attorney Bruce Jacobs, Edward Goldfarb, and of course, our honored guest today, Ms. Ana Lazara Rodriguez. We'd like to go down, Mayor, and all of us, and you present it to her, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome. Yesterday, we had a very important commemoration of the 25-year history of the downing of two Brothers to the Rescue planes. Today, we have the distinct honor and privilege to be able to proclaim an honor in honor of someone who has such a distinguished career of fighting the Castro regime, someone who has suffered, really suffered, at the hands of Fidel Castro in prisons. And I'm gonna read from the proclamation and turn it over to Commissioner. Whereas Ana Rodriguez, as a young medical student in Cuba, was arrested by state security in the early 1960s for her role in opposing Fidel Castro as a member of the anti-Castro underground. And whereas as a teenager, Ana Rodriguez was active in the fight against Fulgencio Batista because of her love of freedom and democracy for all the people of Cuba. And whereas Ana Rodriguez was betrayed by an informant, given a sham trial, avoided a death sentence, and was instead sentenced to 30 years in prison. And whereas while in prison, Ana Rodriguez became even more of a steadfast opponent of the Castro regime, resisting all attempts at political intimidation, re-education, and rehabilitation. And whereas during her 19 years in Castro's prison, due to her refusal to submit to abuse and degradation from the guards, Ana Rodriguez gained a legendary reputation among the guards, prison population, and beyond as a plantada, one who could not be broken. And whereas she came to the United States, becoming a citizen of this country, and wrote her story in A Diary of a Survivor, her dramatically gripping tale in the tradition of other prison diaries, such as Pampillon, Prisoner Without a Name, and Cell Without a Number. And whereas those stories were written about men, Ana Rodriguez tells her story of an utterly remarkable group of women that were jailed as political prisoners. And whereas they were beaten, starved, threatened, and bullied, locked in blackout cells for months at a time, denied water and medical treatment for long stretches, these women resisted with astonishing courage, guile, occasional violence, and an unshakable will, breaking their captors rather than being broken while resisting the repressive apparatus of a totalitarian state. I want to thank Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla for suggesting this proclamation. And I want to remind the world once again, something that our commission never fails to do, and we'll do it again today by resolution, reminding everyone of the repressive, dictatorial regime 90 miles away from us. You know, as the United States reconsiders its Cuba policy, I think it's important for stories like this to be told, for the story that we told yesterday to be recounted, because oftentimes time makes people forget. And when we go from one generation to the next, oftentimes people will not remember the suffering and the trauma that our fathers and my fathers and grandfathers, my grandfather was also in jail, his brothers were also in jail, what they suffered at the hands of this dictatorship. And it's important. It's important as you analyze how we as a country should treat the nation of Cuba. And so it's an honor for me to present you with this proclamation, to turn it over now to Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla.
Y ahí. Es la parte más importante, ¿no? Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your kind words. I think you said everything that needs to be said. The proclamation itself speaks for itself. I'd like to hear from our honored guest today. You say a few words. It's an honor to present to you on behalf of the mayor this proclamation to honor your heroism, your patriotism on behalf of where my parents come from, where my heart is. And you're right, Mayor. People need to always remember the pain that is being suffered every day in and day out, by a brutal, murderous regime 90 miles from here. And every day we remind people so people don't forget, so people know that the struggle continues every day, whether it's a commemoration yesterday, a resolution today, a proclamation today, and a resolution later today, whatever it takes to continuously remind people of the suffering that's taking place. And I think you personify that. So I want you to say a few words, English and Spanish, so you can tell part of your story.
The only way we can do a better world is when all of us fight for freedom and for justice. That is all I want you to gather in this moment of emotion for me, is that if you fight for a better world, you are going to have a better world. That is why we are fighting here now, for a better world with more justice for all. Thank you very much for being with me, and I'm very emotional now. Estas máscaras son una cosa horrenda. Lo que yo traté de explicar es que si todos luchamos por un mundo mejor, vamos a tener un mundo mejor. Y el único mundo mejor que podemos tener es un mundo con justicia, con libertad. Libertad por igual para todos. Eso es lo que yo he tratado de luchar toda mi vida. Luché contra una dictadura que era de derecha. Continué con una dictadura horrenda de izquierda. Y sigo luchando porque creo que lo importante para el mundo es la libertad y la justicia por igual para todos. Que Dios les bendiga. Que Dios bendiga a los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica por permitirme luchar contra algo tan poderoso como un banco, con un abogado pro bono y sin un centavo para defenderme. Le doy las gracias porque toda esta lucha juntos va a determinar la justicia para muchos ciudadanos de este país. Muchas gracias.
Buenos días. Felicidades con pero yo creo que hay un problema más grande que no estamos hablando de ahora, de su problema de evicción. Durante esta pandemia, la gente no puede pagar la renta por muchas razones que no son la culpa de ellos. Y contra los bancos es muy, muy difícil y sabemos. Entonces, yo entiendo que hay una resolución hoy que que nosotros vamos a hablar de esta resolución, de qué podemos hacer como una ciudad para ayudar con los evictions y los problemas de personas como usted. Pero yo creo que con la fuerza y que tiene usted, los bancos no saben que tienen enfrente de ellos ahora. Entonces, buena suerte con todo y nosotros vamos a hacer todo lo que podemos hacer. Gracias. Yes. So, of course, we're honoring a great woman here today, but the elephant in the room is that a person, even of her history and stature, is susceptible to eviction during this pandemic, as you may have read in the news. But the banks don't know what they're up against in the strength of a woman like this. For our part, the city of Miami, and I believe Commissioner Diaz-Labortilla is introducing a resolution today to see what we can do as a city to help protect our residents, the most vulnerable and the strongest, from eviction during this pandemic. So thank you, Commissioner. I look forward to that resolution.
So my name's Bruce Jacobs, and I met Anna about 1.5 years ago when I read that Miami Herald articles that were started by Ed Goldfarb, a realtor, who came to sell Anna's house and then decided to save it. And all of this started from Ed, and now it's grown into all of this. And tomorrow there's a hearing, 3:30 before Judge Charles Johnson. It's on an emergency motion to stop the writ of possession, the document that goes to the sheriff that says that they can take Anna from her home. And what we're asking for is an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity to present our evidence. Bank of America has unfortunately continued to do the same fraudulent activities that they were caught in 2012. They promised in the $25 billion national mortgage settlement they would stop using fake evidence in foreclosures. And what we know now is that they didn't. And worse, they started committing felonies, forgery, perjury, destruction of evidence in violation of subpoenas, backdating records, defying court orders, lying to the court. And this systemic fraud is being done by Bank of America and their lawyers, and it is mail fraud, wire fraud, obstruction of justice, forgery, perjury, and these are all under U.S. law and Florida law, racketeering. It's serious business. And I think that today more than ever, yes, Ms. Rodriguez did not pay her mortgage. She couldn't. It was for reasons outside of her control, as so many people today that are facing this incoming foreclosure crisis from COVID are going to find that they just can't pay the mortgage. And that does not mean that the bank can come into court after being told by the federal government, stop committing fraud in the courts, and to continue to do that. It's as if they don't have to go by the same laws we all do. But it says across the front of the U.S. Supreme Court, equal justice under law. So what we're asking for is an opportunity to present our evidence to show that the bank is not doing what it's supposed to do. It's doing things improperly and illegally. And if that's true under Florida law, Ms. Rodriguez is not going to go anywhere. She will be planted in her home for the rest of her life, as she will be standing firm for this fight. And I just appreciate that Anna gave me the opportunity to take her fight, which is not just her fight anymore. It is a fight for everyone across the country who is suffering, who is fearful of losing their homes during this pandemic. Nobody should be evicted by a fraudulent foreclosure, because the Constitution says no person should be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and a fraudulent foreclosure is not due process.
First of all, I want to congratulate you and thank you for your sacrifice for freedom. I knew about you before I met you through my wife. This is from the same hometown, and last time I saw you was when we We named street after las presas políticas cubanas, the Cuban political prisoner, the women, many thousands and thousands, my aunt, one of them, that suffer the torture and the mistreatment of Castro's thugs. And I want to thank the attorney for taking this case. And as you well stated, this is not only Ana Rodriguez or Lázara, whatever it's called. It is everybody that is in the same situation that that she is now. And we all have to be together in this fight and help as much as we can as individuals and also as government. And don't worry, you are leading another fight at this moment. You are the symbol of this fight of many people that are in the same position. And as you said, Commissioner Ross, this bank didn't know who they're tackling with. I mean, they don't know who they're messing with. And we are all behind you, and we're all behind everybody that is in the same situation. Because at this time, it is our duty to help those in need. Gracias. Muchas gracias te doy por estás en estos momentos liderando otra lucha. Otra lucha. Y la lucha es a favor de aquellas personas que se encuentran en la misma situación que tú tienes. Y te doy las gracias también por toda la lucha que tuviste durante los años que has estado luchando en contra de esa dictadura terrible y ser una de las tantas mujeres valientes que fueron a las cárceles siendo niñas y salieron ancianas y soportaron la tortura, los vejámenes, el maltrato de esa dictadura maligna. Entre ellos mi tía, que empezó sus días de la cárcel en 1959, estuvo varios años. Y la última vez que te vi cuando estábamos nombrando la bien muy merecida calle de las presas políticas cubanas. Y tú fuiste la oradora del día. Y quiero decirte que aquí estamos nosotros, todos estamos obligados a ayudarte a ti y ayudar a todas las personas que se encuentran en la situación tuya. Y como dijo Rosso, el comisionado Rosso, en los bancos no saben con quién se están metiendo. Así que, ¿sabe? Esta lucha va a ser una lucha bien fuerte.
Todo lo que podemos ser cuando desaparecemos físicamente es ser buena semilla o mala semilla. Yo lo que les pido es que construyan una vida para que sean buenas semillas. Eso es lo más importante, ser una buena semilla para que lo que uno da sea bueno para los demás. Eso es todo lo que podemos aspirar en la vida. Muchas gracias.
Everything that needed to be said has been said, and I joined in all those words.
Sure, one second. Just one more point that I wanted to make. I just wanted to note that this has been really an interesting experience because first, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla got involved. And then we had Senator Annette Taddeo, a Democrat, who got involved. And then we had Senator Eliana Garcia, a Republican, who got involved. And now we're seeing people from both parties that are all coming together for one truth, which is that we're all Americans. We all really believe in the Constitution. And there's some very fundamental truths in the Constitution, that we are here to establish justice, to provide for, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, and to promote the general welfare. And it's so special to me as a lawyer for 25 years to see everyone coming together behind this incredible woman and behind this incredible story, and to have this fight, which is about justice, is about making sure that everyone is held to the same law. Thank you.
I just want to say when I met Anna, it was a very humbling experience. I've been through a lot in my life, but this was probably one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I just knew I had to help her, and like she said, I came to sell her house, but actually I ended up saying, I'm going to save your house, and I had a little plan in my mind, and thank God it worked out. So happy that we're going to make a difference for you.
Thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we do have 3 commissioners on the dais and 1 on the Zoom, so I would like to move to the city manager so that we can take up the order of the day. Good morning, Mr. Manager. Do you have any items that you'd like to withdraw, defer, or continue?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Vice Chairman, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, and Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and/or withdraw the following items. On the regular agenda, PH1 to be deferred to the March 11th meeting.
PH1.
What date, please?
March 11th.
Thank you.
That's it for the regular agenda. For planning and zoning, PZ1 to be withdrawn. PZ2 to be deferred to the March 25th meeting. PZ3 to be deferred to the April 8th meeting. PZ4 to be deferred to the April 8th meeting. PZ13 to be indefinitely deferred. And PZ14 to be indefinitely deferred.
I'm sorry, what was that last one with the indefinite deferral?
PZ14,
So 13 and 14, I would assume.
13 and 14 are going to, or the request is to have them indefinitely deferred. Yes.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
Commissioner Reyes.
I have a discussion item, which is DI6, capital projects. I'm going to ask for the deferment because I'm waiting for actions that are going to be taken by the administration in order to correct or try to correct the problems that I had encountered with all our, my and your capital projects and everybody else's capital projects. See how can we improve, be more effective, and obtain better quality.
To what date would you like to defer that item?
Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir.
When do you think that you could have an answer to all the questions that I have regarding the length of the projects and the quality of the projects?
We'll have responses and some updates to you. Let's defer to March 25th.
March 25th, okay.
Okay. I would like DI 1 defer to the following meeting,
That would be March 11th.
correct?
Thank you.
Okay.
Any others? All right, I would like to add to that, please. I do not believe we addressed RE1, the settlement with West Flagler. My understanding, and if you've heard otherwise, please chime in, is that they are close to a settlement, but it's not quite there yet, and they'd like a little more time. And I've heard that from more than one side. So that would be a request for deferral for RE1 to March 11th.
March 11th? Let me ask you this. We've been dragging this for a long time, City. And from what I heard, they are very close to a settlement. And, but there is only, you see, I understand both parties. But there are certain things that you cannot, I think, from what I heard, and I'm going to ask, the only difference on the only item that it is, at this moment, they are not in agreement. It is potential legalization from the states of sports betting. And I don't think that is enough grounds to keep dragging this thing. And I'm sorry, I love Mr. Bremen, and I agree with him that we shouldn't have roulette, crap, or any other type of gambling in that area. But I mean, if they are accepting the highlight, betting on highlight, and a card game, you see, you cannot control sport betting because it exists now. It exists through the internet, and that's one thing that my only objection to this. It exists. Right now, if you go to Gulfstream, you can bet in any horse race in the country. And if I go onto the internet, I can bet on any single game, football game. I mean, it's something that you cannot control. And what I'm saying is, if we're going to defer this, make sure that got to be realistic of what can be, prohibited of what cannot be prohibited. One thing for sure, I wouldn't, if they come up with any when they come for the card game, it's going to need a forfeit. Fantastic, okay? And they agree on that, and that is a constraint also. You understand? But to keep on postponing this because something that you cannot control, that is my, and I am as opposed to gambling like anybody else. And in my opinion, as I stated before, the worst of type of gambling that we have in the state of Florida is the lottery. And the lottery is the one that affects low-income people the most. Because the low-income residents, they always, that's the only hope they have of getting out of the situation that they are. And they play the numbers. And that is not because of the lottery, because of before the lotteries, there were the numbers. La Bolita, here in Miami. And gambling exists. You see, just to keep on dragging this, I don't think it is fair. And to any party, it's not fair to us either. That we have every 4 months, every 2 months, we have to deal with this and make a decision. I mean, let's make a decision. Let's see, if you don't want to vote for favor, don't vote in favor. If you want to vote in favor, vote in favor, and that's it. But if it had been another issue, you see, for example, if they would have been asking for a roulette, they were going to have machines or anything else, I said, okay, but sport betting that exists already, how can you control the internet? You can't. You see? And that's my opinion. And I go with the majority, what the majority wants. I wanted to express my feelings.
Understood. I have a system for roulette. Never fails. I'll tell you later. Nothing. So I understand where you are, and I think that this decision is ours at the end of the day to enter into the settlement but I am very encouraged that both sides are at the table in good faith. That
I
is
really
my
hope so.
that is my understanding, and
I really-
that is rare
I really hope so.
to see forward motion on something that could avoid litigation, which is of course always the goal. You know, for me, as the original author of the ordinance that brought it forward,
Yes.
I really want to see it strengthened and respected.
I
But I'm realistic here, and I want to
I
see peace.
respect you and the deferment, I mean, to you, I mean, I'll go along with you. But I want you to know my position, and I want them to know my position and why we have to, we have to find a solution to this. And believe me, and that this message goes to both of them. If you want to include any other type of gambling there, I'm going to be opposed. And that fear that many people have that we're going to have gambling in downtown Miami and we're going to bring big casinos to the downtown Miami, that will have my total opposition. But this, enough is enough. You see, if you're going to, if you agree on them having the high ally, which they have the right to do it, and a card game, and we are thinking about something that the state might legalize, which is already existing and you cannot control. I think that is unfair.
Understood.
You see?
So if you could give it a few more days, I would appreciate that, and I think we can come to a mutually agreeable solution. So that would be a March 11th deferral of RE1, a withdrawal of the two shade meetings, AC1 and AC2. Let me check just to make sure. I don't believe I have any other items to specifically defer. Mr. Manager, did you mention PH1? I believe you did. Yes, that was the first one you brought up. Deferred March 11th. Yep. All right, Commissioner Watson, there's several items on the agenda in your district, and I'd like to understand how you'd like to handle them today. You are able to vote. Your votes do count. I do understand that one of the items with regard to the zoning agenda must be reset for another meeting if you would like to make amendments. You mentioned potential amendments last meeting on the dais. And so I just want to understand
Yes.
what you'd like to do. We can move forward with all the other items, state on the dais what you'd like to do for that item, and amend and reset for second reading that item, but I'll defer to you, sir.
Right, so I forgot the number because I don't have my magic paper provided by Todd. But the rezoning that you're talking about encompasses 5 items, and I'm gonna roll that over to March 11th meeting.
So you'd like to take all 5 of them and defer them, is that correct?
Yes, March 11th.
Now, if you'd like to take those items up and potentially see them be heard on March 11th, I believe you need to state into the record the potential amendment you'd like to see, because one of those items would need to be reset if amended.
Yes, well, there was not a finalization of the parking trust fee, and we're gonna make that fee $15,000. And so that's what the one big amendment will be for that one.
Got it. So that would be SR2.
Yes,
The
sir.
Wynwood Norte Parking Improvement Trust Fund. You'd like to see an amendment to $15,000 per space
Yes.
from the currently noted, I believe, $12,000, which is in there.
Right.
I have a question about that.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Commissioner, where does that number come from?
Which one?
From 12 to 15? Well, how's the calculation made per parking spot? Because both of them seem rather low to me. But
Both of them seem low to me, Commissioner. I wanted it at 20.
Right.
And I was told that there was a inverted relationship at some point. It's a disincentive and not an incentive to use the trust. And so it fell on 15 being a number that was a good number because the small scale development would in effect absorb it. And it seemed like everyone in that area was more amenable to the 15 not being a disincentive. We had this big discussion last week with the whole thing with the entertainment district as well. And so I wanted to go higher, but I'm continuing to listen to the persons in the area, the residents in the area, to ensure that they also too can capture value going forward once this is done. And so that appears to be a number that, as you well know, parking spots can vary up to tens of thousands. And this is going to be somewhere in the line of surface as well as multi-story parking. And so the 15 I thought was a good compromise, not to be a disincentive.
Commissioner, I'd like to weigh in a little bit if I could as well on that. As the chair of the Coconut Grove bid, we went through this exercise about a little over a year ago to decide whether or not we wanted to raise our rates for the parking trust fund. We're only at 6,000 a space, and that's the lowest in the city. Wynwood proper is at 12,000, and Design District is over 40, if I'm not mistaken, per space. And you can think of the different, market demographics of consumers and stores and tenants that go in those spaces that would be or not be willing or able to pay that. Clearly, they can in the Design District, and they utilize those funds to keep the area what it should be for parking, et cetera. But in the Grove, we felt as business owners that if we raised it too much, it would be a disincentive and actually raise the tenant rates to those landlords to a point where it would be hard to attract businesses that could be affordable by the community. So I think you've done a good job of finding a middle ground here, and I would support you in the 15. Commissioner, you're recognized.
No, he answered my question. Thank you.
All right, so that would be an amendment to SR2. Madam City Attorney, how would you like to handle that?
So I just wanted to clarify what Commissioner Watson said. The one that we would have to amend now based on this new one and just reread it for second reading is SR2. But he said that there were other ones, and I just wanted to clarify the ones that he understood needed to be changed, and maybe the planning department can chime in. Because I don't think
I
anything
don't believe
else
he's asking
needs
for a change, just simply a deferral of all the other items related to Wynwood Norte.
Oh,
So they come at one time.
The only change was to the parking.
Yeah.
Yes.
all right, I just wanted to clarify that for the record. So SR2, now we've noted for the record that the 15,000 is the amount that he's interested in amending. So we will just place that for second reading and renotice that. And
Yes.
we'll do that for March
11th.
11.
11.
Okay? Thank you.
And then the other items would be SR1, PZ5, PZ6, and PZ7. Am I correct, Mr. Director?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it'd be a deferral of all those items to March 11th. Yes. SR1, SR2, PZs 5, 6, and 7. March 11th. Got it. Thank you, Commissioner Watson. Is there anything else that you'd like to see deferred, withdrawn, or continued for the day?
No, that's it.
All right. Any other commissioners have anything to change on this day before I go to pocket, on this agenda before I go to pocket items? All right, so that'll be the changes. Mr. Clerk, if you've got those noted, let's go ahead and add in the pocket items before we vote on the order of the day. Are there any pocket items any commissioners would like to add today? Commissioner Carrillo,
I
you're
have a
recognized.
pocket item on a resolution from the Miami City Commission urging President Joe Biden and the leaders of the 117th Congress of the United States to take certain actions with having to do with the Brothers to the Rescue shooting of the civilian aircraft on February 24th, 1996.
Could you move a little closer to your microphone?
Yes, this would be similar with some additions made to a previous resolution we made the year before.
Okay, so Hermanos al Rescate Pocket Resolution, I'll call that PI1, please, Brothers to the Rescue.
If,
I want to
Mr.
co-sponsor
Chair,
that
I
also.
will co-sponsor that.
I do also.
And I would like to ask, Chair, if we could leave the pocket items to after lunch, we could deal with them all.
To taken up?
Yeah.
I'd like to do that anyway, I agree. That way it gives the public time to weigh in, call in if they'd like to, and the administration to help clean up anything if necessary on the pockets. Are there any other pocket items to be introduced today?
I have my pocket item, Chair, that's the resolution of the Miami City Commission urging Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniel Levine Cava to require the Miami-Dade Police Department not execute eviction foreclosure orders, and we'll explain it after lunch in more detail.
I will co-sponsor that too.
All right. Urging the county not to enforce an eviction, and you'll go into more detail as it comes up.
For foreclosure orders, evictions, but not limited to writs of possession, everything until it exhausts the complete legal process. So they get to the end of the legal recourse available to the person.
Got it. Madam City Attorney? Madam City Attorney?
I'm sorry, we were talking about something else.
That's all right. Commissioner Diaz-Libortia is entering a pocket item with regard to urging the county on not enforcing foreclosures and evictions. When that item comes up, we'll probably have a lot of legal questions about where the current status is of evictions, what our ability is, well, as a city, we're urging, what the current status is at the county level, so we can.
Right, the current status at the county level?
We'll
is
take
that
it up
they're
at the
not-
item.
Oh, okay.
But thank you, just to give you some heads up. Are there any other pocket items to be introduced?
Yeah, the administration has a pocket item, a request for a special appearance by a few representatives of the towing industry to address the commission.
Call that PI3. It'll be a discussion item or a special appearance by the towing industry. All right. Seeing no other items to be changed for this agenda, if I could get a motion,
Chairman?
please, on the. I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
I believe the mayor also had another pocket item.
I apologize, I didn't receive that one. What is it?
We don't have it right here, but it has to do with the traffic calming in the county. So at least you can have a
Has to do with what?
traffic calming. There's a traffic calming situation that's being voted on at the county, and he wants to weigh in on that. I can read it. A resolution of the Miami City Commission opposing the proposed Miami-Dade County Ordinance Legislative File Number 210409 relating to updating the Miami-Dade County Traffic Flow Modifications and Street Closure Procedure Manual to prohibit the consideration of road closings in municipalities to be used in connection with traffic calming measures, directing the city clerk to transmit this resolution to the officials stated herein.
Thank you. I'll make that mayoral pocket item PI number 4. All right, can I get a motion, please, on the order of the day?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Diaz-Libortia, second by Commissioner Carollo. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Commissioners, and with regard to the change to SR2, everyone is comfortable with the 15,000 so that then that could be brought back
Yes.
as amended?
Yes.
If I could just have a vote on that,
You
just
need
to be clear for
you
the
need
record?
a motion to accept an amendment to SR2, is that correct?
Yes,
move it.
that would be great.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner
Thank you.
Carollo, seconded by Commissioner Diaz-Libortia. I would believe then that I would need to open public comment for that.
Remember, it could be commented on the next reading with that amendment.
It could be, but I know a lot of folks, well, I don't know if they're here yet anymore, but we're looking to speak on. So I'll open for public comment on SR2 only, not on the entire Wynwood Norte application, but the Parking Improvement Trust Fund change from 12,000 to 15,000. Is anyone here who would like to speak on that item? That's okay. I can hear you, Todd. That's fine. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak on the change of the parking improvement trust fund amount?
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Warnick, address 89 Northeast 27th Street in Wynwood. I think the recommendation is consistent with the input from community members, so I think there's support for that.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further public comment, I will close public comment on that item. And before we move to public comment as a whole, are there any mayoral vetoes? Mr. Clerk.
Chair, there are no mayoral vetoes.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I'm going to open up for public comment at this point. We have 9 people on the phone, so I'd like to take them first. 2 minutes apiece, please. And let me see if I can get the system working. And then we'll give everyone here who is here to speak on any item remaining on the agenda specifically. We'll have 2 minutes to speak. All you need to do is come up, say your name, let us know the item you'd like to speak on the agenda, and then you'll have 2 minutes to say your piece. So who have we got on the phones, please? Good morning, you're on with the Miami City Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Thanks so much.
Great. You have 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. My name is Wendy Zeladon. I live at 1125 Weeping Willow Way in Hollywood, Florida. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm calling this morning in support of Jungle Island's expansion plan to build a 300-room hotel, an aerial adventure park, zip lines, and new water attractions. As a mom, I'm always looking for nearby adventures to keep my kids busy. Now more than ever, it's very important to find safe outdoor adventures for our family. And Jungle Island has always been near and dear to our hearts. From taking photos of the parrots, watching bird show, petting the kangaroos, attending Luminosa, as well as all the fun field trips that I've attended with my kids at Jungle Island. The experience is really second to none. And now that my children are getting a little bit older, the new adventure attractions will be really, really great. And the hotel will be perfect for staycations, allowing us to spend money here locally versus traveling to Orlando with family and friends. So in closing, I am in support of the proposed land use for Jungle Island, special area plans, and development agreement. The new Jungle Island is going to be unbelievable, and our family can't wait to check it out once it's complete in 2022.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Next call, please. I don't see a call coming through. Normally it has to ring and then I answer it. Thank you. Good morning, you're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Hi there. Thank you. My name is Philip Liquey. I'm a resident of Miami at 3427 Froh Avenue in Coconut Grove, and I am also a resident at the Steakhouse Artist Complex. I'm an artist who works out of that space. Anyway, I want to call and support the Wynwood Norte project for revitalizing the district in SR1, SR2, PZ5, PZ6, PZ7, primarily as a support for the arts in general here in Miami. I think it's important that the neighborhood and the artists and the people who reside in that space have a chance to be able to maintain a positive and sort of a effective lifestyle in that space, and that these ordinances will help to do that and help keep creativity and the arts in Miami in general. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The item has been deferred until March 11th. Thanks for your comments. Good morning. You're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marika Lynch. I live at 6940 Southwest 96th Street, and I'm calling about PZ8, PZ9, and PZ10, all about the Jungle Island site. And I really urge you to let this project go forward. I was raised here in Miami, and I have so many early memories at what was then the Parrot Jungle, of taking pictures with the parrots and going to all of their shows. It was a huge part of my childhood. So when it moved to Jungle Island, I took my kids there. And we went there for many years to all the shows and things like that. But now my kids are older. I have 3 adventurous boys, I have preteens, and a teenager. And they want to do adventurous things. And when we go on vacation to other cities, what we look for is things like zip lining and doing other things like that. And I know that's something that Jungle Island is putting in. That's exactly the kind of things my kids look for when we go away, and we want to be able to do it here, especially now that they're getting older. So, and having a hotel there would absolutely be great. So I really hope that you will support the land use change for Jungle Island and everything else so this project can move forward. And thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Good morning. You're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Michelle Mandelbaum. My address is 1750 Northeast 197th Terrace, Miami, Florida 33179. I am calling to voice my opinion in favor of the proposed plans for the Jungle Island expansion. I am a teacher and a parent, and I have many fond memories of going to Jungle Island. I even grew up in Miami and went to it when it was further in South Miami. I went on field trips as a kid. Currently as a teacher, I have taken my students multiple times. The children love taking photos with the parrots and petting the goats, watching the different animal shows like the birds and whatnot. They learn how to take care of the animals, to be a better person, to, figure out about conservation, help our environment work together. I have also chaperoned for my own children, taking them both to Jungle Island, and I've seen how much fun they have with their friends, and, their teachers enjoyed it as well. I really look forward to the project in the future, being able to do even more things there, like the ropes course, the zip lining, all those things. We really don't have anything like that here in our area. I actually have friends that love that type of thing for their kids, and we've gone to even Melbourne to do similar things in northern Florida. So that would be a really big plus for our city to have that so close to us. Also, when my kids were little, we even had the annual pass at Jungle Island, and there's so many different activities to do, like I said, with the shows and, getting close interaction with the animals. They don't get to experience that many other places like that. So I do definitely think this has positively impacted my life as a teacher and as well as a parent. And I, again, just want to state I'm definitely in support of this proposed land use for Jungle Island.
Thank you.
And I hope that can continue. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your comments. Next call. Good morning. You're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Desiree Dazwad. I reside at 325 South 15 Boulevard. I'm calling about the homeless topic, the population. Let me quickly start by saying these are the few things the residents have been exposed to. First of all, we are the victims in all of this.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Excuse me, just a moment.
Yes.
Is there a specific item on the agenda that you'd like to address?
Yes, the homelessness.
Oh, yes, we do have a discussion item DI3 on homelessness. Please continue. I apologize.
Yes. So I started by saying that the residents are being victimized. We are being verbally harassed, being followed by men, couples making out in front of the playground, men exposing themselves. You know, the usage of the park as restrooms right in the middle, which I don't know where the indecent exposure laws are applied over here. There is drinking, there is drug use, there are fights for spaces, benches occupied. Residents have had enough. There are tents occupying Tina Hills Pavilion. There is litter everywhere. There are backpacks left without anybody knowing what it is. The police were called out 3 times last week. Taxpayer money is going unnecessarily because we cannot solve a little problem like the homeless situation where police are not allowed to arrest. We are being told we need to give in videos, we need to give in this, we need to give in that. If you put yourselves in our shoes and think the fear factor involved of standing in front of them and taking a picture or a video with the phone, then please come back and tell me how we can solve this up.
Thank you, ma'am. What neighborhood are you referring to specifically?
I'm referring to Bayfront Park.
Yes.
I am a One Miami resident, and this is going on forever.
Thank you. We will definitely take your comments under consideration during the item. Thank you. Next call, please. Good morning. You're on the City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Elisa Castro, address 47 Northwest 30th Street. I'm calling to speak in support of the Wynwood Northern Neighborhood Rehabilitation District, Public Benefit Programs and Parking Funds, item SR1, SR2, PC5, PC6, and PC7. In participating in the Community Vision Plan process, it became clear that our neighborhood has many changes and needs. The population has declined significantly. More and more vacant lots have popped up, and there is no new housing being built in the neighborhood. Businesses are struggling, and COVID has only made things more difficult. With the Wynwood Norte NRD2, we have an action plan that incorporates the community input over the past 2 years to bring our neighborhood back in a positive way, favor sidewalks, new housing that is affordable to families, opportunities for small business, and jobs for local residents. Times have changed. Miami is changing. Doing nothing will only make the challenge for this community worse, and doing nothing is not an option we can accept. It's time for Wynwood Norte to grow and to evolve and to better serve the needs of the community. That is why we believe in the Wynwood Norte Neighborhood Rehabilitation District. Thank you, City Commissioners, for believing in Wynwood Norte.
Thank you for your comments. I'd like to apologize to some of the callers. I believe their call got dropped due to the system. It wasn't intentional. If you try to call back in, we'll take care of you. Are there any other further calls on hold right now? Here we go. Good morning. You're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Lauren Shapiro, and I'm a resident of the City of Miami, and my address is 3427 Thoreau Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33133. And I'm here to support the Wynwood Norte Revitalization District agenda items SR1, SR2, PZ5, PZ6, and PZ7. I'm an artist in residence at the Bakehouse Art Complex in Wynwood, and we at the Bakehouse support the Wynwood Norte Revitalization District because we need to keep Wynwood Norte affordable. We have a chance as artists to help the community with programming, with education, with the arts, and to really be a resource here for the neighborhood of Bakehouse. This district would also give us the opportunity to build new affordable housing for artists like myself and for working people. And these are the kind of changes that will keep Wynwood affordable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that's all the calls we have on the phone line for right now. We might get some more back for those who dropped off, so please stay tuned in case they call back in. And in the meantime, I'll turn to public comment, so if, in person. So any of you who have braved COVID to join us here today, if you could please respect social distancing and line up at the two lecterns, 6 feet behind each other. If we could have some people on this lectern, some people on this lectern. Respect the 6 feet. There is hand sanitizer at each lectern. And I notice everybody tends to touch the lectern as they speak. And that's absolutely fine. Just please be conscious of that, the person before you and after you. We do have someone here who will make sure the microphone is cleaned and the lectern is cleaned in between each speaker. So please bear with us as we just make sure everyone's completely safe. Mr. Freed, you're very welcome. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Russell. Good morning. Jim Freed. I live at 555 Northeast 34th Street in the city of Miami. I live in District 2, but I also live 3 blocks from District 5. I'd like to speak on 3 items. I'd like to speak on PH1, the Dade Heritage Trust. The voters voted in 2016 to give the Dade Heritage Trust a lease. Please direct your staff to give the Dade Heritage Trust their promised lease. PZ 5, 6, and 7. I live right next to Wynwood. Wynwood upzoning. Please act carefully, as you know the city comp plan includes a lot of height and density that is not yet utilized. For example, there's an intense opposition to the scheme to upzone 22 acres on Northeast 54th Street called East Side Ridge. That scheme would demolish over 500 units of affordable housing. Then item PZ 8, 9, and 10, Watson Island. I'd love to see Watson Island turned into Miami's Central Park. What an incredible opportunity wasted. I support zoning for a park at that location. I oppose changing the park zoning to commercial zoning. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Thanks for your comments. Good morning, Mr. Cruz.
Good morning, sir. I have a PowerPoint, so I'm hoping the folks in the back can put it online. And until then, if you want to take someone from the other lectern, that's fine.
All right, if I could just check with IT, are we ready to simulcast Mr. Cruz's presentation? All right, while they get that together for you, I don't see anyone yet, but are you plugged in?
I am plugged into the HDMI, yes.
Is this it, First Serve Miami?
No.
Okay. All right, while they're working on that, I believe this lectern's been cleaned. Good morning, sir. You're very welcome. All right, he's got some technical issues, so we'll go ahead with you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Morton Ehrlich. I'm president of 1000 Venetian Condo Association, and I want to speak to you today on agenda items 83, 65, and 66, the proposed new land use and rezoning of Watson Island. You may recall the concerns I expressed at the January 28th Commission hearing regarding Joya Beach Club on Watson Island, which is directly across from 1000 Venetian on Biscayne Island, across the narrowest part of the channel, about a football field away, about 100 yards away. Well, just before the January 28th meeting, we sent each of you a thumb drive which clearly showed the many boats moored in the congested channel, all visiting Joya, presenting a clear and present danger for collision and fire. At the January 28th meeting, you asked an officer to visit 1000 Venetian and talk to the residents about our concerns. You also questioned the legality of boats mooring in the channel itself. To date, however, we have not received an answer to that question, nor an officer visit. So again, last week, we sent you yet another thumb drive for the weekend of January 13th, 14th, that showed you once again the ever-worsening congestion in the channel. The picture that you just got is just an example of one frame, and I think it pretty clearly demonstrates the issue. And again, this past Tuesday, we sent you yet another thumb drive for the Saturday, February 28th event. It was so congested that literally well over half the channel was blocked to two-way boat traffic. Well, when you take all of this together, all these videos continue to clearly show that the boats mooring to attend Joya literally overwhelmed the entire narrow channel, causing such congestion that really other craft and public tour boats have obvious difficulty safely navigating their way through the channel itself. It's becoming very clear to us that Joya is a growing popular destination. That's a good thing. Creating, however, a growing boat congestion in the very narrow channel already getting dangerously worse. And I think you can see that from this picture if you haven't looked at the thumb drive yet. The situation, without a doubt, is clearly, continuously, and visibly out of control. Okay, every problem should have a solution. So what do you do about it? Well, first thing is you can do nothing and simply pass agenda items 83, 65, and 66 and just take your chances and keep your fingers crossed. Or as a condition of approval, you might consider prohibiting Joya from accepting boat traffic, one possibility. Or as a condition of approval, you could require boats to park outside of the narrow channel, relocating the traffic to the significantly wider areas to the west of Joya, more towards the city, and to the east of Joya in the area of Watson Island Marina, and have the occupants tended to Joya, which, by the way, ESJ is already doing, but they're not discriminating. But part of that has to be to disallow any tender services if moored within the narrow channel itself. Another thought, and this is important, also direct the city of Miami Police Marine Patrol, on weekends primarily, to regularly and permanently patrol the channel between Watson Island and Biscayne Island, enforcing limits where the boats may anchor, thus keeping the narrow channel open and truly safely navigable. I urge you to accept these safety measures as a condition of approval of 83, 65, and 66. Well, as I said earlier, this is a clear and present danger, and if left uncontrolled, a disaster just waiting to happen.
Mr. Ehrlich, thank you.
Then what?
Do you have more points? You have exceeded the 2 minutes, but on such a large item, this is your moment to speak, because there will not be a roundtable discussion amongst residents later. I certainly appreciate all the advocacy of Venetian 1000, all of you coming together and really understanding not only the development agreement, but being at the table for the last 2 years with the city and this developer on making sure that the residents' quality of life is protected. What are the other points that you'd like us to consider? I did receive your letter, by the way, so I have all these notes.
I'm sorry, the sound system isn't working too well.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of what you said, the sound system.
Oh, I was just thanking you for your advocacy and asking if you have other points you'd like to make. I did receive your letter.
Okay, great.
And I want to ask, though, you mentioned you did not receive a response. I've received a response to your request from ESJ, and I believe it was directed to you, not to us. So I'm going to ask for ESJ to address that when the item comes up.
ESJ has been responsive. Mm-hmm. When we had the zoning commission meeting, the chairperson of the commission told the attorney for ESJ to reach out, to meet with the people at 1000 Venetian, which they did. And we actually had a Zoom meeting with them a couple of weeks ago. And we discussed all of these issues. We discussed this one particular issue in some detail. As a response to that, ESJ sent a letter out, and I guess it was addressed to me, with certain things that they were prepared to do. One of them was to tender the traffic from the boats to Joya. The problem with that is that there's no, I hate to use the word discrimination, but the fact is they're tendering the boats, tendering from the boats to Joya. And if you take a look at that picture, you can see on one hand is our building, in the upper left-hand corner is Joya. It's extremely narrow, but the tendering is to each of those boats as well. So that while they tender, which they said they would do, and they are doing it, is the traffic is increasing very substantially.
Now, are those boats that I'm seeing, are they moored up, or are they simply waiting
They're
for their
moored.
turn with the
They're
tender?
moored. They're moored. If they were moving, you would see the trail.
So if that's in the channel, though, they're not allowed to be moored there.
Well, they are.
Okay, so I think we have an enforcement issue here and a process issue, and you're absolutely right. The development agreement is the time to cure this issue for the future. And I believe that the developer is acting in good faith, but to memorialize these changes or come up with a good solution this is the time. So thank you for your advocacy. We'll definitely take it up during the
Thanks
item.
for your questions and comments. We appreciate it.
And I'd like to just take this moment to bring up a greater problem that is being highlighted by Mr. Ehrlich. If the manager is here and potentially even the police chief listening, we have a very dangerous problem on our bay right now. And it's not just with regard to a waterfront venue. The illegal operation of jet ski rental businesses is getting out of hand in a very dangerous way. And I talked with the Assistant Chief Morales yesterday. We've had 22 arrests just this year alone on illegal jet ski rental business and trespassing. 338 boat infractions just this year alone in the last month on speeding, vessel compliance, and loud music. I know the city is working with the Coast Guard, but spring break is coming, and I really think we need to step up our enforcement, not only on this channel and the moorings in this channel, but on the safety issue around illegal activity on the bay. I know that the chief is working on it, but I wanted to put it on the record on the dais for our residents that we take this very seriously. Action is being taken, and we will continue that enforcement. Thank you.
That's very much appreciated, Commissioner. You know, the bottom line is this. The boats keep coming as the popularity increases.
Yep.
The congestion is getting worse, and we could talk ourselves blue in the face and have great intentions, but the fact is it's congested, it's getting worse, and something is going to happen.
Yep. Thank you.
You understand that?
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
This lectern is sanitized if you'd like to speak.
Good morning, Chairman Russell and Commissioners. My name is Greg Baldwin. I reside at 1000 Venetian Way, Unit Number 702. I'm the Vice President of the Venetian Way Condominium Association Board of Directors, and I'm here to speak about the proposed ordinances relating to Jungle Island. Now, as Mr. Ehrlich just said, we are the nearest residential neighborhood to Jungle Island. We are 150 yards across the narrow channel between Biscayne Island and Watson Island. And so first, what I want to do is I want to second everything that has been said by our board president, Mort Ehrlich, everything he just told you about the dangerous navigation hazard at the Joya Beach Restaurant and Beach Club. I've seen it. You have too. If you've looked at the video thumb drives that we have sent, I know you have, Mr. Chairman, and we've already delivered those to you. But I want to add, and I want to stress again, as I did in your meeting on January 28th, another problem, and that is our concern about the noise that is coming from Joya Beach Restaurant and Beach Club and the boats, especially that are visiting Joya. The noise from the drunken shouting and partying people on the boats and the blaring music on the boats and the loud music from Joya itself is simply not bearable. Even with our windows shut, it disturbs us and actually drowns out the TV and the music. It's damaging to our property values, to our peace of mind, and to our lifestyle, and it makes the weekend evening hours almost unlivable. Now, we're aware that there are noise limits that are included in the Jungle Island proposals, and we have, as Mr. Ehrlich has said, discussed the noise problem at length with Jungle Island, and those discussions have been helpful. Jungle Island is setting up a hotline that we can use to complain about noise from the restaurant, and that'll help with the restaurant. But it doesn't reach the noise traffic that comes from the boat traffic that is so close to us. And with noise, the only real relief is immediate relief. Somebody doing something the next day just doesn't help. So what I want to suggest on our behalf as a possible solution to both problems, the navigation and the noise, is to regularly and permanently have the City of Miami Police Marine Patrol regularly patrol the channel between Watson Island and Biscayne Island on weekends. The presence of the law enforcement there on the weekends will, number one, ensure the boat safety or boating safety procedures are enforced. Number two, it will keep the channel clear and unimpeded. And number three, it will allow for immediate enforcement of noise violations for us and make our lives so much better. This will do more to resolve these two problems than anything short of either prohibiting Joya from servicing the boat traffic or having a tendering service with the boats. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for your comments. Good morning, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, sir. Elvis Cruz, 631 Northeast 57th Street. And Commissioners, I'll speak on 3 topics today. 1, please keep Dade Heritage Trust in its home. 2, please pass SR 6 to help neighborhoods intervene to protect themselves. 3, Commissioners, as you know, the City of Miami entered into a contract with the Nature Conservancy for a $400,000 reimbursement grant if the city designs and builds a living shoreline in Morningside Park. That plan would be so detrimental to the public's recreational enjoyment that I am before you today to offer my own personal reimbursement grant of $450,000 if the city will abandon the Nature Conservancy's grant, as it is allowed to do under that contract, and instead build a seawall. I've studied this issue at length and found that the Nature Conservancy's plan would greatly diminish the public enjoyment of that waterfront because it would involve planting mangroves along the shoreline and installing an elevated berm 60 feet wide, topped by a coastal habitat. The plan would displace the open waterfront recreational green space and block the beautiful views of the bay the public now enjoys across Morningside Park. Alice Wainwright Park has a new seawall under construction. This commission approved new seawalls for Myers Park and for Sewell Park. Miami's downtown parks all have seawalls from Bayfront through Dan Paul to Bicentennial. Albert Pallet Park recently got a new seawall. The opposition will say seawalls are not environmentally beneficial. That's not true. A seawall can be designed to dissipate wave energy and prevent bottom scouring. It can have artificial reef structures that not only dissipate waves, but also provide the benefits of mangroves without blocking the view of the bay. Yes, seawalls can be living seawalls. A concrete seawall won't take up waterfront recreational open green space. It's only 3 feet wide, as opposed to the 60-foot width of the proposed berm. And people enjoy seawalls. They act as public benches. Who among us has never sat on a seawall to look out over the water? The technology exists today to make a seawall with a 150-year lifespan. Concrete seawalls are much stronger against storms than living shorelines, which can get eroded and then leave the land behind it vulnerable to the next storm until it is filled in again, replanted, and the mangroves grow up. Moreover, Morningside Park already has more living shoreline than the Nature Conservancy's plan would install. Look at this picture of Morningside Park's tidal basin when it was built in 1953. Notice the bridge and the unobstructed water view. Now look at that exact same view today. The tidal basin is completely filled with mangroves. Morningside Park already has 2.5 acres of mangroves, while the Nature Conservancy plan would install 1.86 acres of living shoreline. So, in closing, I'm offering the City of Miami a reimbursement grant of $450,000 US. We'll work out the details with a contract, just like you did with the Nature Conservancy. But the big picture is that I will place $450,000 in escrow, and when the seawall is finished, the city will receive the money. If I have not convinced you today, please know that I've only given you the tip of the iceberg, and I would be thrilled to return to your next meeting for a personal appearance to give you a full presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. This item wasn't on the agenda today, but when anyone comes offering us free money, we certainly listen. But I would like to understand a little more from our city attorney about what the legality and process of accepting $500,000 from a resident to change our plans on a project would be. Is there a mechanism to receive funds from a resident?
A grant can be accepted, obviously, through the city commission. However, I would really need Mr. Cruz to talk to the administration and get a few more details and see, there needs to be a little more legwork.
Yeah, thank you. But Mr. Cruz, just to be clear, just to show that I don't want to take the bait on the money, because this isn't about the money. This design is not simply about saving $400,000 that may come from another entity that is encouraging living shorelines. We're trying to find the right blend of shoreline adaptation for sea level rise and storm surge throughout the city. And in some places, a seawall is appropriate, but where possible and hopeful, we do want to see natural solutions, not complete blockages with mangrove hedges that no longer allow the sight lines to the water. But I believe somewhere in between that and where you are is what I hope to be a good nature-based solution that serves the community in a very positive way, creates more recreational space, does not obstruct views. The berm would be the exact same height as the seawall. And so I continue to work with you, and I hear you every time. You're very active, and I do appreciate that very much. We may, at the end of the day, disagree on the exact implementation of this project, but it's not simply about the money. I do want to tell you that. So thank you for the offer. We will learn the legalities of how and what that could be accepted, but I'm sure this commission will have a robust discussion about that at another time when this is on the agenda. So thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. You're recognized.
Good morning. I'm Dharampal Singh Rawat. I reside at 1000 Venetian Way, apartments 703 and 701. And on the East Tower, Mr. Baldwin, actually, who spoke earlier from this very stage, is my neighbor on the other tower. And being on the 7th floor, really we are exposed to the noise issue from the Joya restaurant. And really, I'm going to stress the issue is really about quality of life. I remember a few years ago, you yourself took the trouble to come to our building, and I think that was a whole different project at that point, not this one. And I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, of course. It's changed because of your advocacy.
Huge, huge.
It's a better change because of the residents' input.
And I just hope the investment I have made and we all have made in that building, I moved there 30 years ago. And I'm already retired, I hope to live there and enjoy my life and just hope that this noise and safety issue is addressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. March.
Good morning, gentlemen. I was here for a deferred item, which was PZ1, and that was the NCD amendments.
It has been withdrawn, so it's not deferred.
Yes, thank you. You're correct. And I submitted 2 letters, hard copies, and also emails to you fine gentlemen. My primary concern is that on my street of Charles Avenue in the West Grove, we have a hotel that could be going in at any time. It's going to be before you gentlemen in the commission because it passed the city planning and zoning a year ago. That was February 2020, okay? And so it's significant to the NCD amendments because there's a line item in the NCD amendments where a historically zoned property can receive zoning for general commercial use or a bed and breakfast use. So instead of the NCD amendments passing it that way, now we have another developer in the West Grove that's trying to put commercial intrusion on my quiet residential street of Charles Avenue in the form of a hotel just west of the Coconut Grove Playhouse. Okay, so I would like you gentlemen to please bear that in mind when it comes before you. If you live on a quiet residential street, you may want to keep it that way. I'm just here to look out for my street as well. And so unfortunately, I have to do it in more than one way, between the NCD amendments and then this upzoning, which will be before you at any time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. When you demolish historic shotgun houses, bigger things move in. Public comment. You're very welcome.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Scott Savin, 401 Northwest 38th Court from West Flagler Associates, and I'd like to respectfully request a reconsideration of the deferral on RE1, and I'd just like to do a couple of factual updates for you.
I apologize. You represent?
West Flagler Associates.
Thank you very much. RE1.
We listened very carefully to the commission's last meeting and heard what the commissioners had to say, and we listened to Mr. Bremen and heard what he had to say. I wanted to just quickly clarify 2 points that Mr. Bremen made. First, he spoke about Allentown, Pennsylvania as the only city that's seen anything positive happen since a casino has opened. We do want to quote you the crime statistics for Flagami, which is our area where Magic City Casino is located. Since we opened, overall crime is down 31%, homicides down 72%, and violent crime down 51%. We also want to point out that Mr. Bremen said that no major financial centers have casinos or gaming, but Los Angeles, Chicago, London, and Paris all have gaming, casinos, sports wagering, and pari-mutuel wagering. Most importantly, we just wanted to update the commission on where we are in our negotiations. The city attorney, Ms. Mendez, and outside counsel, Rocky Rodriguez, has been outstanding in working with us and trying to advance the negotiations. We believe, and they could confirm, that we actually do have a settlement in place and that the sort of cog in the wheel is actually Mr. Bremen. So our settlement, which was proposed and the city has, just want to clarify it, is that we would get the card room and the high life fronton. There would be a carve out only for sports wagering if and only if it becomes generally available to all the residents of the state of Florida. Aside from that, there would be a full prohibition on any and all gambling and wagering activities at that location. The door would be closed, no camel is coming under the tent. The problem that we're having is that Mr. Bremen is asking for the city commissioners to add an amendment, ordinance, that says that the city of Miami is prohibiting gambling in the entire city. We're not a party to that, and that's not a part of our settlement agreement with the city. It's impossible for us to deal with the city while Mr. Bremen is telling us that without the commissioners adding that amendment, they will not agree to the settlement.
I'm sorry, a couple things I need to follow and understand. The last thing you just said is there's an amendment for a complete moratorium on gambling in general, or that is a separate ordinance that will be brought at some later date?
Mr. Bremen and the city attorney, perhaps, or outside counsel can clarify, has said they will not agree to the settlement terms unless the city commission passes an ordinance prohibiting gaming.
Okay, passes an ordinance.
Yes.
So we could not amend a settlement promising a future ordinance. Obviously, there is a body here that would vote on it at that time. So it could undermine a settlement if the majority of that commission might not even be us here when it happens. So I don't believe that we can promise in a settlement what a future ordinance will read.
And that's exactly our point, that we have an agreement, we believe, with the city. Mr. Bremen is not arguing with the points of our agreement. He's adding the additional caveat that he will not agree to that settlement unless he gets his ordinance.
Thank you. I have not heard that, but your previous statement said you have a settlement in place. What does that mean?
We have proffered to the city, and again, Ms. Mendez or Ms. Rodriguez could speak better than me as to where we stand on that. Our understanding is that it is acceptable to outside counsel for the city and to Ms. Rodriguez. Sorry, and to Ms. Mendez.
Got it. So
Outside counsel, I'm sorry.
yes,
So Ms. Rodriguez.
our city attorney is not involved in the substance of these negotiations. But I have heard from both sides, and it's not fully consistent with what I've heard you say here today. I'm not saying what you're saying is not true, but it's not what was relayed to me by both our city attorney and Mr. Bremen's side. We have deferred the item. I recognize the other side's counsel has already left, and the public who would expect that we will follow through on that deferral. It sounds like we are not fully there yet. And it sounds like there are some, not inconsistencies, but incomplete terms of settlement that need to be sewn up. And I really believe we can get there. You may be fully right, and maybe what's being requested may not be reasonable. That's for us to decide as a body. But I think we'll have the time to do that. And I look forward to you all continuing on this just for a couple more weeks, and we'll get it together.
All right, I know Izzy's going to go next, but our concern is we can't go any further. We've given up the future of any gambling and wagering activities at that location forever. So we can't go any further. And the city understands that, or the outside counsel for the city understands that. It's Mr. Bremen that's now stipulating an ordinance that, first of all...
I have not heard that yet. I have not heard
all right,
that
I'll let Izzy comment.
So Commissioner... just a moment, Mr. Habenik. Are you complete with your public comment? Yes. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your
Thank you.
comments. Mr. Habedank, good morning. How are you?
Commissioner, hi, thank you. Izzy Havenick, West Flagler Associates, 401 Northwest 38th Court, and I live in your district. You haven't heard from both sides. Our lawsuit is against the city. You keep saying you've heard from Mr. Brayman in the city, yet you've never heard from me. I am here again in my lawsuit with the city that Mr. Brayman is not a part of. Mr. Brayman's lawsuit against the city is a separate lawsuit over whether the mayor could veto things or not. That's not something I'm a party to. You proposed an amendment 2 years ago. We have agreed to every part of your ordinance.
Yep.
We have agreed to come back for a 4/5 vote if one aspect of gaming, which isn't contemplated in Florida law, is contemplated by the state and given to everybody in the state. Yes, sir?
Sorry to interrupt, because that's not what I understood was offered within the settlement. When you say you are offering to comply with the ordinance, that means you would actually go through the 4/5 process for everything?
I'm going through the ordinance for everything I didn't have granted to me by the state prior to your ordinance, and that is what the settlement that we have proffered to the city, and the city has seemingly thought was a fair settlement. We have agreed to pay the attorney, to not come for attorney fees. We have agreed to drop our lawsuit against the city. And in an effort to bolster your ordinance, which Mr. Brayman's attorneys who aren't here wrote, we have agreed to come back for a 4/5 vote on any gaming that is allowed in the state of Florida that is not specifically carved out by our settlement, which we've given up every form of casino gaming, which was your concern. We've given up slot machines. We've given up video lottery tournaments. We have given up craps. We have given up roulette. We have just said if one aspect of gaming is made readily available to pari-mutuels, sports facilities, and everybody else, we will come back and get our vote from you. We have done everything you have asked in good faith, and including sat down with a third party who is not a resident of the city of Miami. We have done everything, and you continually ask more, and just defer us. It's not fair. It's not right. We have done everything you've asked, and you've never sat with our side, and now we are making your ordinance stronger. We're agreeing to anything we didn't have once your ordinance passed to come back to you per your request. We are agreeing to not fight your ordinance for anyone in the future. Now you want us to sit and wait while you agree with some third party to something that may or may not be constitutionally legal in the state of Florida to hold up our settlement, to cost the taxpayers more money. It's just blatantly unfair.
Thank you. Mr. Habedank, I think there's some misunderstanding or maybe miscommunication. We have not agreed to anything of terms that we will or will not accept under what Mr. Brayman would like or not like. So he may propose anything into the settlement, but it's this body at the end of the day that will vote on what that settlement looks like. The crux of our disagreement is whether or not your organization was already past the line when our ordinance passed. When we created that ordinance, either you had vested rights or you did not. I'm of the belief, and the administration advised me at that time, that you did not. And so the ordinance would apply to your application in our belief. And in its current path, that could be left up to a judge, which is risky for us, it's risky for you. So we are engaged in good faith settlement negotiations here. Unfortunately, we as a body have not been able to go into shade meeting to even see how each other feels about this in the moment. And I'm getting somewhat of a sense because you are a respectable businessman in the community, you provide a lot of jobs, you have a plan, you don't want to see the goalposts moved. So either you had a vested right or you didn't. But instead of maybe letting a judge decide that, perhaps there's a settlement that we can all come to. And I am doing so in good faith. It's not about asking for more and more. It's not simply about doing what another stakeholder wants. I think, you know,
How is what you're saying true to me? You have moved the goalpost. We have negotiated with your attorney in good faith. You guys then defer the shade station where she wants to brief you on our thing. We then negotiate for 2 weeks with a third party who has no bearing on our lawsuit at your request. The last meeting, Mr. Brayman got up, you asked. Again, we've done it. We have kept the commissioners who do speak to us apprised of everything at every turn. Again, we are asking you to hear our settlement, not Mr. Bremen's settlement, our settlement. You won't even let the item come up for a discussion. You've deferred it again so that your attorneys could explain it here in a public forum. You won't even allow it to be heard. How is that acting in good faith?
We are. We are. Everything is being done by correct process. You may want a settlement today, but we are not there yet. We believe a few more days will button this up. I'm sure the agreement will come even long before the March 11th meeting. But we've already taken action to defer it to that day, and the other attorneys have already left the building based on that action of the body.
But the other attorneys are not a part of our settlement. Your attorney is in the building. I see her. She's a beautiful woman right there. I believe your outside counsel is on a Zoom.
I'm sorry,
Your attorneys are in the building.
our city attorney is not a party to this discussion, as much as those attorneys are not a party to the discussion. We have third-party counsel on this issue. So, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
That's not true.
Chairman,
Yes.
so if we can, if you want to discuss this, can we speak to Rocky Rodriguez? She's on the panel, Zoom.
Yes.
However, because everybody was trying to reach a global settlement, and I'm just talking about, the procedure here, not about any substance, because I'm not aware of all the substance. I just would like for, if Mr. Martos is still in the building, because it was a global settlement that everybody was talking about, and then if you want to talk about.
Well, it seems that they would like to hash out the settlement on the dais now today. The other
Right,
parties.
they could talk about-
That's not true.
They could talk about the points, that's fine, but I think that maybe the other parties to the global settlement should be here.
It is true, because they've actually stated what they believe we want, and they're stating what they want. Just a moment, please.
Well, you
Madam
have
City
to
Attorney.
recognize all the members of the body when you have a chance.
Just a moment, I'm speaking, please.
I know. but
Madam
please
City
recognize
Attorney,
those.
from a procedural perspective, we have voted on a deferral of this item.
Yes.
Where does that put us now to open up discussion on the item?
You would have to reconsider the
Thank you.
deferral.
I would like to not have discussion on this item unless we are reopening it. If we choose to reconsider the item of whether or not to take up the settlement, then that would put it on the floor, in my mind. But right now, we're just
Then I'll
taking
take a
in
point of
public
personal
comment.
privilege, and I'll have my conversation that I want to have. So I'll take a point of
You're
personal
recognized,
privilege.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I think the frustration that you're hearing, Mr. Chair, is that they've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're waiting for an answer from us. And I agree the global settlement is being worked out. My understanding was that there is a global settlement being worked out. Is that the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is there, I think if they knew there was a time frame when they're going to have an agreement in 2 weeks, I can understand a deferral. But I think the frustration comes, and I can see it in your voice and your tone, that's why I came back out, is that it's every time, like what I said when I was first elected here, everything here is, we'll live to fight another day, we'll live to talk about it another day, it's a deferral, another deferral, another deferral. Why don't you solve matters and move on? What's the problem with having conversations to get closer to a global settlement, at least on the dais here today, and at least have an idea of how far apart they are, listen to Ms. Rodriguez, see what she has to offer, and have them tell us whatever they can within legal parameters of where they are to see if there's actually light at the end of the tunnel. So to me, it's your district, I get all that, you represent the area, but it's also a major issue for the city of Miami. And Commissioner Reyes represents the tract that they own. I represent the land that they own in front of that. So this is a family that's invested in our community, that creates jobs in our community, as Mr. Bremen does. That's why he's been given a fair shake along the way, but they need to be given a fair shake. So let's have the conversation. So you start a meeting, you defer, and then you say, well, it's not being debated today. When is it going to be debated?
When the item's on the floor.
Well, okay, it's been on the floor 17 times for how many years? So when, I didn't ask when it's on the floor, I know it's been on the floor. How many times has it been on the floor? How many times has it been on the floor, Madam Attorney? How many times has this issue come up before this commission? Before I was here, right?
Yeah,
Way before I was here?
yes.
Okay, so how long? After I leave? How long? Do you have an idea of what you want to do with this issue as commissioner for that particular district? What's your idea? And when do you want to resolve whatever the idea is or present it to this commission? And what is a global settlement? Where are we with a global settlement right now? And why can't we as a new commissioner, relatively new compared to you, who has seen this issue come up a number of times since I've been here for a year and a couple of months, when can I get some input from the parties so that I can make a better decision? And I'm willing to listen to both sides. Ever since I got here, I said I'm going to make sure that I listen to both sides of an issue. Both sides have good arguments. They do. I spoke earlier about a little bit of a sense of unfairness, how about the goalposts were moved on them when they went through certain things. I get the idea of not having gaming centers all over the place. I get that too. Miami is a different economy. It's not what it was 20 years ago. I was a pro-gaming legislator when I was in the Senate. I'm still pro-gaming, but I don't believe we should have gaming everywhere now because Miami's changed. But if it's a limited venture that has only a card room, that requires a fourth-fifth vote, that if they want to do anything else, baccarat or whatever, roulette or whatever it is down the line, they have to come back to this commission, not us, but those, whoever's here, with the fourth-fifth vote, and they've agreed and proffered all that. That seems like sort of a pretty fair solution
But
to
is
me.
it, but is it
So,
a fair?
Well, listen, please. It seems to me like a pretty fair solution. I'd like to know why you think it's unfair. And I want to know why Mr. Brayman thinks it's unfair. And I want for them to tell me if they're really committed to what they're saying, or they're just going to find a way around what this commission is going to do today through the state or other avenues. I want to make sure it doesn't happen either. I get that too. Because I know you don't want a full-blown gaming site in your district or in that part of Miami. It may not belong there, I don't know. But I don't have a problem with a card room there. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with a full-blown casino there. So that's kind of my balance. And all I want to know is, I want information so I can make an intelligent decision. And to limit that flow of information is not the right way for any legislative body to proceed. So why not have the conversation? At least we move the ball a little bit down the field, and then you come back to us and you say, look, we're going to resolve this. A global settlement will come into place, or there'll be a global settlement in 2 weeks, in a month, whatever it is. But every time they come here with an expectation, them and the other side, both sides, of a resolution, we punt, and we punt. And that's where the frustration comes from.
I understand. So Commissioner,
Chair.
I do hear you. And we have open discussion happening right now. You are here in your capacity for public comment, and we can ask questions of you and respond, and we can talk to each other. I'm okay with that.
Okay. That's all I ask.
I'd like to address your question. And you and I may not be so far off in terms of gaming in general and how we feel.
And I agree with that.
And I was...
But we can't talk to each other because we have sunshine, right? So we can only talk to each other here.
This is the moment or a shade meeting.
Or in a shade meeting. Or a shade meeting.
Yes.
Which is another thing we need to have.
We
should have a shade meeting.
Which we apparently cannot have. So this is our moment, and I'm okay with that.
But then
The reason I'm okay with the deferral today is because I did see forward movement. I did hear that there is further meeting of the minds. You may not be there yet. You want something, they want something, we want something. And I'll tell you where I am very specifically is, I do not believe the goalpost was moved on you. I do not believe you had a vested right. I was very proud of that legislation to protect the quality of life of residents and at least give them a voice at the table and create a higher level of scrutiny and approval for gaming to move into a residential neighborhood.
But it was after the fact.
I don't believe it was. And all of our
23
staff...
days after the fact.
I'm sorry, our law department, our planning department, I would not have brought the ordinance at that time if I was told by our staff that we were after the fact. It is our belief as a city that the ordinance was passed correctly and that it does apply to you. So a settlement would actually be giving you everything you came for, the card room and the highlight, without having to go through the ordinance. I may be open to that. I may be open to that under certain conditions, but I'm not yet. And I really believe that we should protect our ordinances. When we work hard to create legislation to protect our residents, we shouldn't just fold because someone wants it another way. Now, if it is proven in a court by a judge that you were ahead, as Commissioner Diaz-Portilla believes, you may be right. We may be wrong as a city. I may be wrong as a commissioner. And before getting to that and potentially losing money, holding you up further, I am definitely open to entertaining a settlement. But it's got to continue to maintain the protection of our residents' quality of life and the ordinance in as much as we can, because I want to stand by that ordinance even with any applicant who should have legally applied.
May I ask a
So
question?
that's why I am where I am, and that's why I'm not ready.
Great. And may I ask a question now?
Yes.
As the resident who lives in the district,
Yes,
who
you
lives
do.
in the area where this is going, okay, the only one in this fight, by the way, who could say that, I think you would agree to that.
Yes, you're a little bit of a biased resident, but yes, you absolutely are.
But I am the only one who's in the fight.
True.
Of course I'm biased, I'm in the fight. Okay? Is your intention to ever come to a settlement with us, or are you going to continually kick down as has
Absolutely.
been the practice since
That's a
you've
fair
been
question.
chair for the last, we are on 56 weeks since we originally came to the city, came to a meeting of the minds with the city attorney. We are 56 weeks of debate on the settlement. Are you ever going to let it be heard?
So with all incredible sincerity, I'm telling you, yes, I am open to a settlement. I don't understand why you have not gone through the process and applied for the 4/5. You may have already gotten, because remember, that ordinance is not a moratorium on gambling. That's a process for you to get gambling in a neighborhood, just giving the residents more space at the table. I'm surprised you haven't applied through that process. But I understand you're protecting your rights because you believe an ordinance does not apply to you. I respect that. I disagree with it, but I respect that. I am sincerely open to a settlement, and I believe and understand that you all are getting closer, and we can get closer too. So that is my goal, to bring a finalized settlement in this next meeting. Commissioner Reyes, you recommend?
Yes, I was briefed by the attorney, what they called Rocky Rodriguez. And I was briefed by her, and she informed me that they were very close to a settlement, I mean, to an agreement, that the other party had accepted the card room and the highlight, but the only problem that they had was, the only impediment to that settlement was that they wanted to get a promise or a ban on something that hasn't even happened, which is the authorization of sport betting, something that is happening now, but it hasn't been sanctioned by the state, okay? But it's happening. It's happening now. And that's what I was referring to it. Now I learn, and that's where the moving the goalpost comes from. Now I learn that besides their promise of not opening or not using the right to have sport betting, something that you cannot block the internet, okay, because it's through the internet, and it is happening now. It's a fact. Now they want a referendum to ban casino gambling.
In this settlement?
That's what you said, that they are adding that.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
would like that
let me
added
ask you
to the
something.
settlement.
You know, I love everybody in this city. I work with everybody, and I respect the contribution of everyone that has worked hard and have their business and all of that. But I think that when we reach a settlement of that's what we want. We just want a good faith. I mean, people to be discussing things, the problems in good faith, and get an agreement in good faith. But now when you start adding, if that is true, that's not fair. Because I am not for, to commit the city not to, because I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. You see?
Yes.
I don't know what's going to happen. And then I can give you my word, my commitment that I will never vote for a casino in downtown Miami. That's true. I mean, you can take that to the bank, okay? But now that we are not going to have, they have given up, I wouldn't want to see, you see, slot machines there. I don't want to see a roulette there. I don't want to see all the other type of gamings, you see, that brings so many people to a casino. In that place, that is just highlight and a card game, that was what they accepted, and they accepted to limit it to it. And that's what the attorney told me. That if the state sanctions sport betting, they will come before us, and we have to vote 4/5. Man, that's fair. But not to add another item to it. I mean, I love him. I love Mr. Bremer, and but it cannot be. I mean, I'm a just person. I like justice. See, and I think to be done right. And that was my argument. And I thought that we had.
And I want to piggyback. I'm sorry. I'll be brief. I'll be 2 minutes. I want to piggyback on what Commissioner Reyes said. we all know, because you're in the business, and I was the chairman of reg industry, so I know about gaming, that today sports betting is where the money is, right? And that's something that you're going to probably pursue because that's something that's profitable. It is correct that it's all through the internet, it's all based in Costa Rica and other countries, and they do it anyway, right? So that's why the state today as we speak, is considering another sports betting bill. And I believe, maybe not this session, maybe next session, eventually, that the state will authorize sports betting. And I suspect that you will come back to us with, hey, we want to do sports betting here, which is not, as Commissioner Reyes says, a full-blown casino, has baccarat, roulette, blackjack and everything else. Because I won't like that either. I don't think that belongs there right now. It doesn't. It may belong somewhere else in the Fontainebleau or some other place, maybe Destination Casino, it's a different conversation, but not there. But you come back to us with something like sports betting down the line, well, I'm okay with that too, right? Because I think it's something that doesn't bring the kind of people that the other kind of gambling may bring, right? And the kind
They
of
will need
problems.
4 votes.
Right, and right, that's my point. But you still need 4 votes.
Yes.
So to me, and you're proffering that, you're accepting that condition, right? You're accepting that
I
condition.
am, sir.
So it's a question of convincing this commission or a future commission, hey, this makes sense. It may not make sense today, maybe it makes sense in 5 years. Just like maybe 20 years ago, more gaming in Miami-Dade County may have made sense. It doesn't make sense today because we haven't developed downtown. We have a different kind of industries that are being developed and being brought here, right?
Correct.
So we don't need casinos to bring people here anymore, like we used to, our downtown area in particular, right? We have other things that attract people to our
Just
downtown
another
area.
amenity.
And you know that because you're a businessman that can evolve in his thinking, and you understand that. You're going to do what makes sense. So, yes, the idea that our chairman here has a date that he says, I don't know when I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there. Well, I want to know when he's going to get there. Wherever he is, there he is.
Well, actually, sir, if I may, I have a question of my district commissioner whose district this is in.
Yes.
And if he believes his ordinance is valid, which he said, would he please put, as the district commissioner, at the soonest available time on the Planning and Zoning Board and this agenda, a vote on whether or not we could play jai and poker at the facility?
Okay, that makes sense. Mr. Chair, I know
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
He has a question of
If
you.
you
Is it valid
believe your
question?
ordinance is in fact,
I'm sorry, can you
if you
start again,
believe
please?
your ordinance was not in fact done retroactively to me, I am respectfully requesting, as the district commissioner of this area, that you, on the soonest available Planning and Zoning Board agenda from your office and this agenda, take a vote on jai and poker at that site.
So you would like to go through the application process and the 4/5 vote?
I am asking that, if you say I have to do it, and I'm going to keep getting kicked down the road, I'm asking that you would please place us on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm answering this question.
Okay, so you would like to go through the process of the existing ordinance?
I would like you to put me on the agenda under your belief that that's the ordinance.
Got it. Okay. So there is a process for that, and we can happily initiate that process for you as an administration, and then this body will take it up when it comes to us. So
It's
Well,
here, it's in front of your office.
What is he? We're not saying that we're refusing the settlement. This is.
I understand.
Okay.
But in a parallel track, you would like to go through
Yes.
the process of the 4/5.
You just said you were surprised I hadn't. I'm now asking you, so your surprise can be gone, since it has to go through, would most likely go through your office as the district commissioner to do it. We are requesting, we will fill out whatever application you want, and we would like your commitment. You will have it preferably done and help us expedite so we can have the debate and the discussion.
Understood. It doesn't begin through my commission office. I believe it begins through the planning department. And I could be wrong, it could be zoning. But I'll let legal work with you on that, and we welcome that. That was the whole intent and purpose of the ordinance. And so.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
So he asked you a question about a time, I think he wants a date, right? And so who can give both sides, right, a date of when it's going to start?
So-
Because we get direct the administration to do whatever we want to direct them to do. We can tell them do it by this day. Make sure, so they maybe accelerate the conversations between the different parties so they reach a global settlement. But again, back to what my original point when I started speaking, the frustration is that you keep kicking it down the road. You keep punting on it. Well, that's their frustration. And I feel the same thing because I've been here for a year and 3 months. oh, we'll defer it, it's up to the planning and zoning, it's up to this, it's up to that, they're not ready yet, global settlement's coming. Give us a date, some finality, some sense that there's light at the end of this tunnel, because you're the district commissioner.
You'd like a date for the settlement or a date for their
I want a city
hearing?
meeting like Commissioner Reyes wants. I want them to accelerate their conversations. I want planning and zoning to begin he's already proffered right now, which he hadn't done before, without losing your legal rights, obviously, that he's willing to go through a 4/5 vote for Hialeah and Card Room, right? So let them go through that. And if it gets voted down, it gets voted down. We know you're against it. He's got to
Thank
get,
you.
he's got to get everybody else. But
Both
that's
processes work in
But
parallel.
let the process work out.
Just a moment. So our outside counsel would like to weigh in. Good morning. I'm sorry we haven't heard from you yet, but you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Raquel Rodriguez from Buchanan, Ingersoll and Rooney. My office is at 2 South Biscayne Boulevard, Suite 1500, Miami, and we are the outside counsel for the city on this matter. I understand that the commission has voted to defer consideration of the proposed resolution today because, in fact, the parties are very close after working very hard for the last 2 weeks in trying to reach compromise. I believe that the commission well understands the positions of both sides. We don't have a definitive agreement yet that the commission can adopt, but we're very, very close. And we don't have a draft ordinance that the Bremen parties have requested. And obviously, you would need to consider that if you're considering a global settlement, which would certainly be ideal. However, I think that it is very important not to lose the momentum of the negotiations of the past 2 weeks. And in particular, at least to give the West Flagler parties a date certain by which they will know whether or not they have an agreement with the city. And so based on the analysis that I have done in terms of what needs to happen in order for us to implement what I believe would be the ultimate agreement, should everybody agree on all terms, is we need to be able to get at least a first reading, if not today, certainly by no later than March 11th. And we should try to get to a second reading and a final decision by no later than March 25th.
Just a minute, Rocky. I apologize. I'm not following you here.
Outside date by
Just a
which
moment. Can you hear me all right? Rocky, I'm not understanding fully on this ordinance in the first and second reading. Is there a written proposed ordinance that is meant to be a part of the settlement, a contingent part of the settlement?
There is not currently an ordinance. However, one of the proposed terms from West Flagler, if the commission were to accept it, would be to approve a card room in the settlement agreement without the need for them to come back once they are able to qualify under state law, which only requires them to have their first day of highlight games held. And then it's up to the city, normally would be up to the municipality to approve the card room. What they've requested is to incorporate that. And based on my consultations with city personnel, it would really need to be adopted in the form of an ordinance. And therefore, we want to make sure that we follow that. And if we are dealing with the ordinance on casino gaming citywide, obviously that requires a number of readings. So what I'm suggesting to the commission is that we try to advance the ball as much as we can, when we can, based on where we are as of the moment. I believe.
So what you mentioned is a separate ordinance. That's an ordinance that would grant parts of the settlement, including the card room, the highlight, through an ordinance legislation of this body. And I understand if that were agreed to and that's the mechanism, that would be included in the settlement. What I'm asking you about is this separate ordinance that's been brought up today. Is that being proposed as a part of the settlement, that there be a global moratorium on gambling in the city of Miami?
We have not yet seen the formal written proposal from the Bremen plaintiffs, so I do not know whether or not that has to be in the settlement. But I do know that it is a condition from the Bremen plaintiffs that they will not express their assent and dismiss their litigation if their proposed ordinance banning gaming were not adopted by the commission. Now those are two separate issues, and obviously the commission has to make a decision whether or not it wants to condition its settlement with West Flagler on the passage of that ordinance, or whether it wishes to allow the West Flagler settlement to stand on its own and deal separately with the ordinance as a matter of policy. But my point is that it is important that we give West Flagler certainty so that they know what is expected of them from the commission and that they know soon. And also, we have a filing deadline for our initial brief on the appeal regarding the mayor's veto on March 22nd. And it would be much, much better if we can resolve where we're going with this case before we file any briefs at the Court of Appeal. So that's why I'm suggesting to the commission that even if you end up not reconsidering the deferral, that you make it a sense of the commission that this process needs to be moved in an expeditious manner, and that if things are going to be referred to PZAB as part of the process, that be advanced as well. And I've asked all parties to work with me quickly to get me a draft ordinance by tomorrow, to give me markups of settlement agreements by tomorrow, so that we can be in a position to give something definitive to the commission by early next week.
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, then Mr. Martos, and then Commissioner.
Thank you. Hi, Rocky, how are you? I haven't seen you, and I'm not gonna date us, but going back to the Bush days, I think, so that's a long time. Good to see you again.
Commissioner Eubanks.
You too, Commissioner.
Oh. You're pulling a Joe Carroll on me now, too?
If he's not here, I got it.
You're the enforcer now of the mask? All right. Here we go. So you said that there was a separate ordinance that's being proposed, and I like your sense of finality before I say this. I like your sense of finality that you're gonna have something to us by tomorrow and something by early next week, right? So that you can be on the March 11th, March 25th agenda, right? First reading, second reading. But you mentioned a separate ordinance that is basically a moratorium on gaming, and you said that that's a separate issue. The question becomes, is it a separate issue? Or is that issue being introduced, I'm not gonna call it a poison pill, but is it being introduced at the last minute, one being contingent on the other, for the one party to agree to the settlement agreement by saying, if the commission agrees to a moratorium on gaming in Miami? Those are two, if they're not related, and we could take a separate vote on that one, and they're not related to this one, the settlement, I'm okay with that. I don't like, and I'm sensing, I don't know, it's the gut that I have, they're mixing both issues.
I don't see how we can legally tie them together, honestly. But
But one side may not reach a global, quote marks, a global settlement, I hate air quotes, but I'll do it anyway. A global settlement if they don't get that condition attached to it. Hold on. So Rocky, in your conversations, as far as what you can disclose without breaching any confidence, has that been brought up, that one thing will be contingent on the other? Or what you said is correct, that, hey, no, they're two separate issues?
Well, the Bremen parties have made it very clear that they will not give their assent and drop their litigation if the city settles with West Flagler without also banning gaming pursuant to an ordinance that is yet to be drafted that we're waiting to see. So, in their mind, there's a linkage that they won't drop their challenges to a city settlement with West Flagler unless they get their ordinance. So if they do, that would be the global settlement. Now, this has been, this is not that different from a position that they adopted previously. Over the course of the last week, that was not what I understood was going to be their position, but they've made it very clear as of yesterday that that is their position, and that's why they wanted, I believe they're the
Right.
ones that wanted the deferral.
Right,
And so my goal is, I want to keep
Follow up
everybody
on the same question.
talking to see if we can work through these issues. And, but I also want to convey my sense of urgency to the commission and to all the parties, that this is an issue that we should get done and resolved within the next 30 days at the latest, so that everyone knows where they stand, and the West Flagler people can make their decisions and take whatever steps they need. And then we also can make our decisions regarding what we want to do with our pending appeal.
So for the sake of clarity, Rocky, earlier you said that these are two separate issues. Those are your words. Now you said that one party sees linkage between these two issues. And that changes the entire conversation, right? So
Correct.
for this commission, not for that party, maybe that party doesn't care if they get what they want, and then there's a ban on gaming in the rest of Miami, right? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that could be the case, right? And they say, we're okay with that, but there is linkage. And one party wants the moratorium to go hand in hand, or the banning, I guess, not a moratorium, the banning, right, to go hand in hand with the settlement. So that raises a serious issue for me, because I don't like to pass legislation or agree to a settlement that's been debated back and forth between attorneys, contingent on this legislative body, this commission, doing something else that was not part of the mix. To me, that appears to be moving the goalpost again towards the end of the conversations, say, oh, by the way, yeah, but we also want this. And then later on, hey, we want this on top of that. Because the state law changes and allows a destination casino somewhere, and I happen to think it's a good place to have it, and you're not here, maybe Commissioner Hayes is still here, you're not here anymore because you're leaving in a couple of years, or maybe next year, I hear you're leaving. That's what rumors, but anyway.
No, we're gonna keep him.
But yeah, we're gonna keep him?
Yeah.
50-50 that he leaves next year, but anyway. There's another commissioner that maybe says, hey, maybe hypothetically the Genting property is the one that we want to have a destination casino, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
That ban on gaming may be hurtful to the city of Miami in terms of the finances and the revenue that we can generate from a destination casino, a high-end casino like you would have that you have in Monte Carlo and other places, right?
I understand your point.
So Rocky, for Rocky to answer, please, there is, in the conversation you've been having, they have linked those two issues, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner
may I
Reyes,
now ask
you're
a
very
question?
recognized for as long as you'd like to speak.
Wow, my God. Okay. Rocky, when we spoke, it was yesterday, or day before yesterday.
I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner, I can't hear you if you're addressing me.
Okay, when we had our conversation, I understood that the only obstacle was the approval of sport betting, right?
Yes, when we spoke, I had not yet received a communication from the attorneys. regarding this other issue.
That is precisely what Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla saying. It's the goalposts have to keep on moving, because when we spoke, that was the only obstacle. Now we have another. I mean, there's another issue that has been presented. It is the banning of gambling in the city of Miami. It's either you accept this or I will keep my lawsuit against you. Isn't that right?
That's what was said yesterday.
That was said yesterday, and that's not what I was informed. And that's really something that I cannot accept, that I keep information one day, another information another day. And I mean, I think that we need us to sit down and speak among ourselves about this and about us, the city commission being pressured, you see, into doing things that probably, or whatever, I don't care who it is, could be the Pope, okay? That then we keep on being pressured and pressured and pressured. I mean, I think we should have an honest conversation among ourselves.
Commissioner, if I may.
I think we should have. an honest conversation.
Thank you. Mr. Martos, you're
I
recognized.
think I can, thank you, Chairman. I have to clear some things up for the record. First and foremost, we are interested in a settlement, and if possible by March 11th, that's what we want. We're not interested in delaying this.
Could you just clarify who you represent for the record, please?
I'm here on behalf of Bremen Motors. I need to make this very clear. My client is not interested in protracting this, okay? We have no desire to see this go. If we can stop it by March and have it all done in the month of March, that's what we want, okay? Let me be clear on that. Number two, earlier we had proposed a referendum, a charter amendment. That is true. In the spirit of striking a settlement, we have backed down from that position. And I want to be very clear about that because Mr. Bremen's goal, as you heard from him at the last meeting, has always been a ban on gambling. He thinks it's bad for our city. He's backed away from that. We're making progress, okay? The other side, meanwhile, has stated that they want highlight and a card room. Mr. Bremen has said you can have a card room and you can have highlight, right? Sports betting was brought up. In the last, I think, 24 hours, sports betting was brought up. And Mr. Bremen said, okay. So what you have here is a situation where my client is giving and giving and giving, and the other side, because they're used to being the House, wants to win more. So I'm going to make a commitment. Commissioner, if I may just wrap this up very quickly.
Chairman Russell, I would like to correct the facts. Sports betting with his client was brought up in the mediation in December, not 24 hours ago. He can't lie, Commissioner.
I just want everyone to speak one at a time. I'm not
Yes,
trying to
he
cut off or
cannot
be
lie.
rude or silence anyone. For the record, though, for the clerk's sake,
Cannot lie.
we would like to have everyone speak one at a time. And I'll just,
I'm about to finish.
Just a moment. Commissioner Reyes, you're
Just one
recognized.
question, because I don't want to lose what you have
Please,
said.
please.
From what you have said, maybe the way that I understood what you were saying is that Mr. Bremen is accepting the conditions he's accepting the card room, the highlight, and even if sports betting comes in.
Correct.
Okay, so what are we arguing about?
Now, that's what I wanted, that was my closing point, okay? When I was before I came over here, okay, and the reason why I'm in a state of undress, and I was breathless when I got here is because I had already made it back to Coral Gables, and I was sitting down at my computer, and I was drafting an ordinance that the city special counsel, Ms. Rodriguez, requested that we prepare for her by close of business tomorrow. I was working on it when I received a text message alerting me that you were bringing this up again, and I hauled my butt over here, all right? The whole point of having lawyers and working out agreements is to make sure that you can have a proper relationship moving forward and everyone's clear on what's what. To do that, we need to sit down, we need to draft documents, we have to work things out. Negotiating on the fly a settlement agreement with the hopes of striking it today in this room, in the public, without drafting anything, is a mistake. It's a mistake for a city, and it's a mistake. It's a mistake for any businessman.
May I ask another question? Yeah,
Yes.
To get it clarified.
Yes.
You're drafting an ordinance. In that ordinance, what is that ordinance all about?
The idea of the ordinance would protect the other side's existing uses. It would allow them to operate at 3000 Biscayne, which is the property they have in mind. It would only require a 3/5 vote, not a 4/5 vote, okay? It would let them have card room, highlight, sports betting if it becomes legal in the future. It would grandfather all their existing uses in other locations, like the former, Magic City. Okay, it's very extensive. What it doesn't want is, and then in addition, it also says something that you would think is fantastic for them, their competition. Other gambling is not permitted. And currently, the way the law is today in the statutes,
You mean...
gambling is not
Listen,
permitted.
I'm kind of old. I need to be slow in this.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
What you're trying to say is that there are going to be conditions to the acceptance, and that condition is going to be that no more gambling in City of Miami? The prohibition of gambling. in the city of
Gambling
Miami.
in all of their locations, all existing locations at 3,000 Biscayne, all the gambling uses they have today, all the gambling uses permitted under state
That's
statute.
not my question, Mr. My question is, what are they asking? Because, I mean, what are you asking in that ordinance? Because if you're accepting that they should come, for a forfeit.
No,
or what, that they could have all of those gambling activities, okay? But now you have an ordinance that says it's going to prohibit. Prohibit what?
It's going to prohibit gambling everywhere else in the city of Miami.
Oh, well, that's something different. That what you're pushing
Now-
us is to draft a legislation that will have an effect in the whole city of Miami and the future of the city of Miami. You see?
Now, let me be clear.
just a moment,
It
Mr. Martin,
prohibits
Mr.
any gambling that's not already permitted by state statute.
Mr. Martos, just a moment. Commissioner
Yes.
Isla Portilla, and then I'll let you respond.
Hold on, so
Can I speak after?
Yep.
hypothetically, the state of Florida, this
Yes.
session, legalizes sports betting. Or next session. This ban that you're proposing, this ordinance that gives them whatever they want, or whatever they agree to, not that what they want, but what they've agreed to, would limit any other establishment in the city of Miami from offering sports betting if the state of Florida approves it this session or next session. So if, for example, Miami Beach wants to have sports betting, they can have it. If Coral Gables wants to have it, they can have it. If West Miami wants to have it, they can have it. So people have to cross the street, right, across 37th Avenue, across 57th Avenue, across the
Yes.
Causeway. And they can just go do it there. And you're limiting Miami's ability to generate revenue. Sports betting, well, yeah, because you're banning, I asked a question. I asked earlier, you didn't answer,
Yes.
but somebody else answered. I think it was Rocky who answered. This is an ordinance that bans gaming outside West Flagler, everywhere else, for any competitor, for anybody else,
Yes.
right? That's what it does. That's included in your settlement. In your ordinance that you're drafting right now, you would ban gaming, any kind of gaming, card room, sports betting, highlight, anywhere else in the city of Miami.
If I may.
And I'm not, is that what let me finish?
Yes,
It's a question. Is that what your ordinance will do?
No.
Okay, what does
Here's
it do?
why. And here's why I won't do that. Because it provides for grandfathering. The city
No,
of Miami.
Future, there's no sports betting in Florida. Future authorized gaming by the Florida legislature. This would ban.
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer.
What I'm saying is on the issue of sports betting, all grandfathered facilities, and correct me if I'm wrong, they have one at Magic City. They're going to have another one at 3000 Biscayne Boulevard. And you may operate, if I'm wrong, forgive me, you may operate the third location. We have 3 major locations, folks, in the city of Miami already where that sports betting could take place.
How about Casino Miami?
In the city of, I'm sorry?
Okay.
Yes.
But the Miami Highlight used
It's a
to be.
if it's a parimutuel facility, it can have sports betting.
It's an existing parimutuel. That's the only other existing parimutuel in the city of Miami, correct? Only a Casino Miami is the only remaining one in the city of Miami. Besides them.
Yeah.
It's the only other one.
Correct, but we would also specially allow it at 3000 Biscayne.
But I'm not asking you that.
Understood.
So you're creating now, the other side of the coin, you're creating a competitive disadvantage for a casino that happens to be a parimutuel in the district that I represent on 36th Street, right? So they cannot do what they're doing.
No, Commissioner, Commissioner, just so you know, we have fought to make sure Miami Highlight is treated the same as we are.
Yes.
Okay.
So
all right.
your
So that's
parimutuel
that.
is being
That's that.
spoken for by us.
We have no issue with that at all.
Okay, so
My client's fine with that.
if they set up a computer center, the state authorizes sports betting this session, and somebody wants to set up a business, says, look, now we have sports betting in Florida, I want to do it in an office building that's just all by internet,
Yeah.
and people just go and do their sports betting, it can be by phone, or with your phone here, you do the betting, and it's centered here in Miami, and we collect taxes from that, and we can tax them at a relatively good rate that we want to be able to operate in Miami, or they can have a physical facility too. Your legislation that you're proposing, or your ordinance that you're writing, would ban that from ever happening in Miami.
Would it ban the online work? No.
It will not ban the online because that takes place,
My
probably takes place right
understanding,
now.
let me be
But
clear.
a
and this
physical
is-
facility, people that are from Miami, that will start a business here for sports betting,
Yeah.
in Commissioner Carollo's district, or in my district, or in Commissioner Rosa's district, And they cannot do that under your ordinance because Miami will not allow any additional beyond the existing pari-mutuels, any additional gaming to take place of any sort of gaming, correct?
No, I don't think I have to confirm, but I don't think my client has an objection to online gaming. So if you wanted to have an
No, the
office.
physical facility, sports betting at an establishment, your ordinance would ban somebody opening up a business.
Some new location,
Some new
yes. it would-
location that's not a pari-mutuel, that will now be authorized by the state, that they can now operate everywhere around Miami, everywhere around us, but not here.
Commissioner,
But every other city will collect the tax revenue from them, but we were just left out of that.
I hear your concern on sports betting, and if your concern is that you'd like to see more sports betting locations, that if the state statute should allow it, we can work with you on that issue. We can talk about that. But part of the point of having lawyers and sitting down and drafting things is that you can work out all those wrinkles. But the general idea, the goal of our settlement that we were prepared to start writing, I was literally sitting down to get started, okay? The point of that would be that they get everything they've asked for to date, because they haven't asked for anything other than a card room and highlight, and now sports betting as of this week, okay?
Again, not
So
true.
they're getting everything, and then we're stating, going forward, we'd like to see some limitations. My client came here hoping to get a hard ban on gambling in a charter amendment, and we're all the way over here now. You know, it can't be a completely one-sided deal.
Of course not. So just to close it up. So you will be amenable to having a sports betting exemption, if you want to call it that, you guys can have a conversation about it if the state authorizes sports betting.
I'll speak to my client, but
There's a
based on
possibility
prior
that-
conversations, I believe that might be okay. I have to speak to my client, and this is why I don't want to do this here.
make sure
Why
you-
we should do it on March 11th.
Make sure you speak to him about that.
I will.
If he has
I will.
opposition to that.
Understood.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But-
Commissioner
Thank you.
Carollo, I'd like to recognize you.
Thank you. Look, I'm hopeful that with a little more time, this has come to a head and there could be a final agreement. But if there is none, then March 11, this commission will vote, and I want to be clear to everyone. We're going to vote to defer, well, we did vote to defer this. We're not going to bring it back. But March 11, if there's not an agreement, then this commission's going to have to take action on its own.
Agreed. Are there any further public comments?
Just real quick, I'd like to clarify. First, thank you for Commissioner Carollo for saying that and not allowing us to be held hostage by this bigger issue, which, by the way, could ultimately affect 2 city-owned buildings, but that's not my fight. And I want to thank Mr. Martos for trying to give me almost a monopoly. I appreciate that. I'm thankful for that. But I want to just clarify one point with you and I. I'm not asking to slow down the settlement talks, and I'm not asking to defer the settlement. I'm asking to sit and work with your office to do assuming that the settlement isn't agreed to and we lose in court, to in concert get the ball rolling on the other 2 aspects of highlight and poker, so that assuming there's no settlement, assuming we can't come to an agreement on a settlement, assuming we lose the lawsuit, at least I could have that ball rolling, having waited 2.5 years of my life to get that ball rolling. I would appreciate a commitment from you and your office to get that ball rolling, and I will be in your office as soon as you want me to learn how to do it and get it going.
I'm happy to help you start that process, and I'd like to be clear, there was nothing keeping you from entering that process for the last 2 years. So I will support you in that and make sure you have what you need from the administration to do that application.
Great, and I'll see you hopefully before March 11th.
Absolutely. Are there any more comments on this item? All right, thank you. The deferral stands. I'd like to finish public comment for those who are so patiently waiting.
Commissioners, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Martos. For those of you is there anyone else here who would like to speak at public comment on any of the remaining items? Please come up to the lectern. And I understand we have a couple more phone calls. One more phone call as well waiting. Good morning, you're very welcome. Just
Good
your
morning.
name, the item, and you have a couple minutes. Thank you.
Josepa Reyes Anin. Yes. Josepa Reyes Anin. It's about the property lots at 2201 Southwest 26th Street, 33133. Used to be a family home. Now it wants to be a public park for the city of Miami. And the last time we were here, what was it, in January? We debated about a doggy park. These are neighbors. One neighbor wants doggy park, all these neighbors don't want doggy park. I don't know. We have the sewer, like I have said before. I lived there since 1978, sir. The sewer has been there always. Stinky neighborhood. In the summer, it's unbearable. Commissioner Reyes said that they're been thinking of moving that somewhere else, but everything takes a long time. It's like a river. The more it rains, the longer it gets. I understand. We have many children in the neighborhood. I think a doggy park, although they're going to have somebody cleaning that on a weekly basis, the doo-doo. Now, what about the pee on the grass? The pee on the grass is going to stink. You're not going to put a diaper on your doggy to take him down there. The doggies in the neighborhoods are nowhere to do it. They have marked their areas. That's where they're going to go. We put plastic bags by the tree. No doggy doo-doo here, please. They do it in your own yard, not in the city property, in your own yard. And they keep going. So, sir, I cannot fix the world, but I like to do things for people that no one would do for me. That's the person I am. I can live under a tree, I can live in a mansion. I can eat filet mignon, I can eat hot dog and Coke. Yeah, I don't care. But there's elderly people in the neighborhood, a lot of elderly people that walk around, and something I want to talk about is the police surveillance. We have robberies in that neighborhood, including my home, in 2017. We used to have police surveillance in that area. We don't see a police car unless there is a catastrophe in the neighborhood, sir. I'm worried about that. So we're thinking as neighbors that it is better if we have cameras instead of a doggy park. I just take down the fence and let the field loose. Cut it. Make sure you cut it every month. If not, I go with the machete and I will cut it off.
Thank you.
So the grass won't grow this bigger and I go cut it off. I'm a hillbilly from the mountains, sir. I have never got used to this life, but this is what I got.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
That's all. I don't know what the next thing will be. And hopefully they will send a note again for this matter.
Thank you. Comisionado?
Thank you for your comments, and everything will be taken into consideration. And the idea of the doggy park came from people that they want the dogs to go and do their thing. It's going to be clean instead of doing it in front of the house or in the yard or on the street. And that was the idea, but everything will be taken into consideration. And the cameras on any park, they are not mutually exclusive. We are placing cameras.
You working on that?
Yes, I'm working on that.
Because
And also, I will take message to Commander Garrido about the increase in criminal activity, and
Okay.
which has been happening. You see, both of my cars in front of my house with cameras and all of that were broken by a teenager.
Uh-huh.
See, I have it in a.
I don't
Thank
know,
you.
sir. If you want, you can have this list of the people.
Give me a copy. Send a
Because
copy.
I'm not making it up, you know. I don't want to say, well, the lady went there and she wear a thing in her head and she
No.
brought the list. They're not signed, but
Everything will be taken.
I asked him and I
One
checked.
more comment.
I asked him and I checked, so.
We could. Yep.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
your
for your
time
comments.
and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak at public comment on any of the items on our agenda, both planning and zoning and the regular agenda? I'd like to take the last remaining phone call, please, and then we will break for lunch. Good morning. You're on with City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Heidi Carr.
I live at 650 Northeast 68th Street, and I'm calling in today to support the, the new conference center at Parrot Jungle. I'm a professor at the University of Miami, and they have hosted our students many times for different events, to go over and learn about different things. And the students always report back that it's the best day of their college experience. They just love it there. And I've been to so many events myself. I just enjoy it so much, and I'm just so happy that we can make it an even better place for people to go.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody, we're going to break until 3:30. We'll reconvene for the remainder of the agenda at 3:30. Please enjoy your lunch. We'll see you right after. Commissioner Watson, have some soup.
Commissioner Watson, take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I miss you.
Miss you too.